Johan Rhodes. Now, Johan, tell us who you are, why you chose Prairie View, and what are you studying?
My name is Johan Rhodes. I'm a senior electrical engineering major. My background is in electrical engineering, software engineering, and network engineering. PVAUV is a project that we have for senior design, but in the past it hasn't realized its full potential. So my goal as the team leader and hardware lead on this project is to establish a fundamental AUV or UAV, underwater autonomous vehicle. This vehicle, as per our competition, will be able to navigate a channel, follow color-coded markers, and recognize a validation gate and pass through it autonomously without a remote or without anybody being in the sub whatsoever.
Okay, so again, in layman's term, what is a underwater autonomous vehicle? Like, what is it? Talk to us.
A lot of people are familiar with drones. However, in this case, it wouldn't be necessarily a drone. A drone is going to search an area. It has an objective. It gathers data. But what we're trying to do with this underwater autonomous vehicle, or robotic submarine, or smart submarine, whatever you want to call it, is we want to create a smart submarine that when we place it in the competition pool can interact and complete the challenges that the Navy sets before it without us having to do anything.
Now, is this sponsored by any company? And like, what is the real world issue that we are trying to solve here at Prairie View A&M University?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's sponsored by several companies actually. NAVSEA, Naval Sea Systems and Command. It's sponsored by my employer, Space and Naval Warfare Systems Command. These acronyms typically represent the United States Department of Defense. But what the Navy has is an issue where we have soldiers in submarines, or we have soldiers out there in the field, and they're trying to defend our borders. They're trying to secure resources. They're trying to defend us. But in defending us, obviously there are casualties. So part of what those casualties come from is going into mines or engaging enemy targets, or sometimes even friendly fire.
Okay.
So the real world issue that we can mitigate here is if we can take the soldier out of the submarine or the smart sub or the underwater autonomous vehicle, and we can place that in the field, and then we can have it be smart enough to understand what a mine is, or understand what the enemy target is, or even maybe in the future understand how to avoid friendly fire, we can dramatically reduce the casualty rate of all soldiers.
Wow, thank you. And how did you get involved with PVAUV? Was this a project given to you? You know, explain the senior design process whenever seniors are in their last year of school.
Okay. In order to graduate with an electrical engineering degree, computer engineering degree, mechanical engineering degree, any engineering degree at Prairie View A&M University, first you have to get through senior design 1 and 2. So the course lasts an entire academic year. But in the course of that academic year, you're given a project, and you have to complete that project satisfactorily in order for you to get your degree. So what we received for our senior design project was the NAVSEA sub or underwater autonomous vehicle project, whichever. However, my background, I've spent 5 summers at Space and Naval Sea Systems Command, or NAVSEA. I've also done networking research at Ohio State University. And then in the summers I also work at Diversified Community Services in Las Vegas, giving them technical advice. So my background is in supporting network engineers, supporting electrical engineers, coding, STEM, etc. And I just brought that onto this project that they assigned to us. But it just, God blessed me to where this is exactly what I'm trying to do in the future.
Okay, so you know it's almost spring break, and that means South by Southwest is happening. But we want to like promote this at South by Southwest. Talk to us about that process.
Okay, so we recently got a application from HBCU at South by Southwest. And I've applied, as well as other members of my team, they've applied as well. And we received an email, and that email said, we're only going to take 100 applicants from all
University.
historical Hispanic universities, HBCUs, and even minority students at PWIs.
Yeah.
But we're only going to take 100 students. However, what they've decided to do, in addition to the applicant selection process, is say, if you guys can tweet about this,
Yeah.
Facebook about this, Instagram about this, with a hashtag Prairie View, has to be HBCU at South by Southwest.
Yeah.
Get the word out, and the school that gains the most retweets across all of those different social media networks, they guarantee 2 students to go
From that university.
from that university.
Yeah.
Now,
we need 2 students from PV to go.
yeah, and now why do we want to go in the first place? I'm already trying to go via a Battle of the Brains contest. That's a whole nother conversation. But here on this project, I need to get to South by Southwest because we're trying to secure sponsors.
Yeah.
So already on this project, we've got one major sponsor. Thank you, Vector Nav, which is a company that saved us $2,000 on an inertial measurement unit, which allows the ship to know how it's oriented. It'll let it know if it tilts to up or down or pitch roll yaw. It allows it to know its orientation in water or in space.
Yeah.
That part alone saved us $2,000.
Right.
At South by Southwest, we have Microsoft sponsoring this. We have Microsoft sponsoring this event. Snapchat sponsoring this event. Booz Allen Hamilton we have dozens of sponsors, and I'm sure that if they figure out what we've been doing here, then they'll be more than happy to sponsor what we're doing. And even if we don't use those sponsorships necessarily for this year's shift, it's an annual competition in which next year's team can use it, and next year's team can save money on their budget, and next year's team is gonna take it much, much farther than what we've done.
Okay, so I did some research. Not only am I in this project, but I did my own research. I think Prairie View is the only HBCU in this competition.
Indeed. The competition is an international, it's specifically called the 2017 International Robo-Sub Competition. This competition, and when I emphasize international, it is international. Like I said, one of the companies sponsoring the project is NAVC, but another company sponsoring the project is SPAWAR. SPAWAR is where I work, so I've seen the competition. There are students from India, there are students from Kyoto, there are students from South Korea, Cornell University, I believe University of Michigan is an applicant, Caltech is an applicant, and what these schools have is huge budgets.
Right.
I mean, Cornell, I believe Cornell alone has a sensor that costs over $10,000, let alone all the rest of the parts. In addition to the fact that they have teams for these projects, a Cornell team could be composed of 70 to 100 students, or a University of Michigan or Caltech team could be composed of at least 30 students, whereas we're working with 6 students, but we're still providing a similar product.
Exactly.
Moreover, it's an extracurricular activity for them.
And
meaning,
it's a project for us.
Exactly. It's part of our curriculum versus for them, it's a club or something that they're doing on the side in accordance with all the rest of their classes.
Right.
So I think it would be safe to say that that Prairie View, being the only HBCU and being the only HBCU for at least the last 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, Prairie View is sort of a beacon or
starting that pipeline for everyone else.
Starting that pipeline, opening the door for all the rest of these HBCUs to get involved with this very, very, very highlighted competition.
Okay, and my last question is, how far are you in this project? You know, we do graduate May 13th at 9 a.m., but this actual competition will be in July. So where are you? Where is the team?
All right, so we have our Gantt chart. We have our hardware, and like I said, I'm the hardware lead, so as far as knowing all of our components, we have the design down for the ship. We even have the specific connections down. Like, for example, how is the thruster on the ship, or thrusters? There are 6 thrusters. How are those going to communicate with the computer? They communicate with the computer via an electronic speed controller. That electronic speed controller connects to our microcontroller. Our microcontroller is an ARM Cortex M7. And then that connects to the motherboard and all the rest of the components. But nonetheless, as far as how we're going to connect it, and as far as what components we have, and as far as doing the code for the visualization and things like that, we have a test date of March 7th.
Yeah.
Before we start actually troubleshooting the project in the pool. There'll be more content about that. But March 7th we should have it, and then the competition is in July. So we're ahead of schedule, and we're ahead of a budget so far.
And I also talked to Chris before this. We're 40% there on our coding. So we're doing pretty good, I can say, for February. And this is February 14th to date. So, Johan, I want to thank you for being on the Pretty Plug show. And we look forward to next time talking with you, interviewing the entire team, getting just everybody's take on it. I know we've done a February update, but this is like a mid-February update from the electricals team lead. I'll try to get the mechanicals team lead so we can get a different perspective. But this is definitely like something that we're all invested in, not only academically because it's our grade, but we really want to make sure that all HBCUs are represented by Prairie View and that we can successfully compete and continue to gather funding so that our PVAUV team goes international and global to have 30 students or even 100, just like Cornell. So we just want to thank you. Johan, you got anything else you want to say?
I think we hit it on the nail.
Okay, well, I think that's it. Talk to y'all later.